All right. Good morning, ladies, and welcome to In Search of Prosperity Sisterhood. I am so glad you're here. As we jumped on this morning, I realized just how much Meredith had grown, and I gotta move my camera a little bit more. That's exciting. I don't know. It was a little like reality check for me this morning, so that was cool. Welcome, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. If you have comments, questions, raise your hand, throw it in the chat, whatever it might be. Okay. This morning, I wanted to talk to you about your creative process, whatever that might be. There's no right or wrong answer here in sisterhood. But I'm curious, what are you doing when something comes to your mind, whether it's an idea, an opportunity? I wrote a couple things down. Or just creativity in general. Like, are you allowing it maybe to wash over you and just be in that moment of whatever you were already doing? Maybe it's taking it captive and figuring out just what it is that came to your mind, that idea. Maybe it's taking it captive and writing it out. Yeah, that is yours. But having those ideas are a beautiful way of channeling what's inside of you. And so are they bursting forth? Are they getting that aligned time and space within what you're already doing? This morning or yesterday, I had an idea and I voiced it. And I think there's something about creating words around it versus just leaving it in the ethos in your mind. Right. Because sometimes in the most organic form, that is the most pure, that is the most ready, that is the most opportune piece of that idea, of that creativity, of that love that's inside of you. So then where do you take it from there? Do you have a notebook that you keep that idea in? I've said this or coached in this quite a bit. A lot of my clients have some similar tendencies to myself. And I had one in particular. She's like, I have all these notebooks and I never know which one to grab, and they're all disorganized and all the stuff. And I was like, girl, I have been there. And so, where are you keeping these ideas? Sometimes I like to have a couple different notebooks going, whether it's my journal, a notebook that's specifically on business ideas, business growth, business mindset, whatever that might be. And then also, we've talked about sharing our growth, our growth. So, what does that look like? A lot of times you'll get book recommendations. And so in all of my notebooks, oh, and I have another notebook for like when I'm meeting somebody one-on-one. So that notebook has someone's name at the top of every page and the notes from that session, that conversation. And there's always a book recommendation. Even here in our sisterhood, there's always that book recommendation. So I've taught myself to put that in a specific spot on my notes page, like the bottom two lines of a notebook. So now I can grab any notebook. If I need to compile a list of books and book recommendations, which I am doing, by the way, I can just go through all my notebooks and page really fast. And the book recommendations are those bottom two lines. So taking that idea to the creativity side of things, whether it's in your journal or you jotted it down somewhere, are you putting stars next to it? Are you highlighting it? Are you circling it? Are you marking it in a specific way? Right? I know A lot of us like to maybe use all the colors of the rainbow when it comes to using pens and having 7 different colors of pens, right? But what's yours, right? How are you doing it? For me, that's too many colors of pens. So I'm a black or blue pen and a highlighter. That's me. Okay. But how are you marking that? Whether it's a special quote or, like I said, a book recommendation, something that came to your mind that is a special quote specifically from your heart versus something you overheard, highlight it, find a place for it. I've created a space for it in my planner that I have in beta right now. So maybe as you're watching this, maybe you already have it in your hand. I don't know. But having that space for that creativity, for that prosperity of your mind and heart and experience, there's something about having a place for that creativity. So I'm going to leave with one more story or idea for you ladies. So yesterday I had an idea and I shared it with my husband. It was a book idea, a children's book idea. And I have a bullet journal that I bought probably 3 or 4 years ago. And it just has a nice compilation of things I want to keep creatively in a certain space. So it does have a section of my garden and my garden plan and journal and stuff like that. It also has a section of goals and tracking and aspirations, which honestly I don't use very much anymore, but that's okay. It also has a few pages of house plans for whatever or wherever we might build a house. A couple of those things and decisions are kind of being put out into the universe, being prayed on and excited about. So just having a space where, hey, I have a section of these drawings that have been in my head. And then I have book ideas. And I did my rough draft of my planner in this bullet journal. And I'm just trying to help paint that picture for you ladies. So with this book idea, I opened it up to a page and I titled it book idea. And then I ended up writing an entire outline for it. And then this morning I sat down and I wrote the rough draft of it on that page right there. So it's the 2-page spread. There it is. And it makes me think of, I'll leave you with this final piece of inspiration, Napoleon Hill. His latest book was published within the last 10 years. Don't quote me exactly when, but he's been dead for like a really long time. I don't even know. Off the top of my head, I didn't plan on saying anything about this, but he's been dead for a lot longer than 10 years. And yet they took his notes and his inspiration and co-wrote a book with him. How cool is that? Like, that's a side dream of myself. Like, I'm going to have all these notebooks and all these ideas and all these concepts written down somewhere. And someday when I'm dead and gone, someone's going to write a book with me on top of the books that I will publish. But what are you going to do with your ideas? That's the big question. Where are they? Where are they? And what are you doing with them? So with that, we're going to go into our live discussion and we'll see where they are. Talk soon. Oh, not that stop button, this stop button.